Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in a few minutes. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Is my background correct this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for your input. All right, guys, since I was going to get started right away, but I'm waiting for some guests to show up. Daphne, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hey, David, how's it going?
I'm doing really great.
Good. Love to hear it.
Let's give people a couple minutes to join so that you can get the biggest audience possible. I thought there was going to be more people, so we're probably still waiting on some. I'm getting messages from people saying that they're going to join late. So I think a lot of people have stuff going on at this time. Hey, David, welcome to the call. So we're going to go off script a little bit. I'm going to let Daphne speak first because she has limited time. So I'm just going to kind of let Daphne introduce herself to get us started and tell us kind of generally about what you have done and what's going on now. And then we'll open it up for some questions. I guess, first of all, I should probably introduce myself. I'm David Huckins. I'm the owner of High and Tight. And I hope that anybody that needs to ask questions, you can either just shout them out in the text or you can text me. That's why my contact information is up there. So you can text me any questions you have at any time. Thank you for doing the Read AI. Please copy me on that after the meeting. I'd like to have access to that. So Daphne, do you want to go ahead and do your bit?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Daphne Cook. I own Bloom LLC in District 4. We do wholesale cultivation, and we were commenced at the end of July. And I appreciate you guys letting me talk first. I'm sorry. It's just I got something at 7:15, so I really appreciate it. Anyway, if you'd like, I can give some maybe like tips or things that I've noticed, or we can go straight into questions if anybody has a preference. David?
I suppose we should specify that not everybody on the meeting may know that you're one of the first wholesale facilities to be commenced. So
Yes.
we should probably point that out.
Yes, so we are commenced. We got commenced right at the end of July, like the last day of July. And so we've been up and running for a couple months now. Plants in the ground, everything like that. So it's going pretty well so far. And I'm very open to share any tips, anything that I can to help other people out, other cultivators, anybody that I can.
So David, Daphne, if you want to turn this over to questions, I have a whole bunch of them. I'd be glad to fire some questions at Daphne if nobody else wants to stop me.
Go for it.
All right, let me just start. So you're up and running. You've got stuff planted. We're in the process. We're round 2, and I just spoke to DCR today, by the way, and they expect all the letters to go out this week, Wednesday, maybe Thursday. So for all of us round 2 people, we should expect that this week. But the next step is getting a building, and we're sort of looking at 5,000 square feet for cultivation. Daphne, is that? I don't know what you have, but
yeah, we are at limited capacity right now. So we only have 1,000 square feet, but we will be doing an expansion to get either 4 or 6,000. So I think 5,000 would be very, very doable, I think.
So initially I was told to like kind of figure out the building, get the building that you want to end up with, which, you know, is to us is 5,000. But I'm intrigued with this idea of kind of starting small.
Yeah, so we kind of the facility was like partially built out in advance because we do a lot with like hemp, and so it was kind of made in a way that you could do like some hemp like clones, everything in there. So it was already kind of set up. So we only had space for 99 flowering plants, which is why it's at limited capacity right now. But since it was like already ready in several ways, that really did cut down on time. And if that works for people, I would say I would suggest it. But if you can do everything at once, that just means you're going to get like 250 plants worth of like pounds even sooner. So if that would work better for you, I would recommend it, because I mean that's what we did.
Well, I would prefer, I think, to kind of start small, but, you know, just given like, you know, we have to get this security system, which I'm told is 30, 40, 50,000.
Yeah. So we had a similar issue. We talked to some people who were like involved with like cannabis, like maybe they had worked with other people in cannabis before, and so they were also going to charge $30,000-$40,000 for a security system. If you know anybody that like can do security, or if you know a company that like you can say, oh, I'm growing something else besides like marijuana, then you probably won't get that high price. I think that the price gouging in cannabis is so high. So we knew somebody and installed, and we paid him and paid all the cameras, and it was about $15,000. So
Oh,
if you
nice.
know somebody who can do that, I would highly recommend not going through somebody that already knows you're in cannabis if possible.
Right.
As well as like I don't know his prices, but I know Jimmy Poe, he has 816 dispensaries. He does a bunch of that kind of stuff. So he might be somebody to look into. I'm not sure, but I feel like that'd be a good place to start.
I had some input on that. Jimmy was actually supposed to be the guest tonight that you were kind enough to step in and replace, and he does camera systems and door locks. So I was going to have him on to talk about that, but he also knows stuff about security systems. So hopefully he'll be a subject matter expert within the community that'll be on a future call.
And Daphne, how much automation do you recommend? You know, for instance, the watering system, that should all, and the fertilizing, the lighting, all that.
Our
Automated?
lighting is automated, like in flowering, but like watering, we're all hand watering, doing all the nutrients, all that kind of stuff like ourselves. It's not, a lot of it isn't automated. If there's like, in a way, this phrase, I don't mean it in maybe the way that it'll come across, but if you can like cut corners in the way that if you can save money on things that you know won't necessarily impact the quality of your production, there's no need to get high-end everything. If you can, if you're willing to do the watering yourself or anything else, I would recommend doing that. Same goes for like anything in the commencement process. Like if you're being like, oh, I've never written an SOP before. Sorry, my cat. I've never written an SOP before. I don't know how. I'm just gonna pay somebody. I would recommend just Googling how to write an SOP. I wrote all the SOPs myself. I'd never written one before. I just graduated from college like right before, and it was not a business degree. And so I would just say like a lot of things you can do yourself, especially if you're willing to like learn it. And then you have that experience, and then you don't need anybody to do that for you in the future either.
I am going through the very painful process of learning how to build a business plan right now.
Yeah, I've heard that's no fun. And
Daphne, why do you need an SOP?
So the department requires SOPs for commencement, and so those
Oh.
SOPs will go over a lot of different topics, from things like sanitation, security, maybe
Okay.
like how you keep like how things run in your facility. I have a list of like a bunch of different SOPs. We had about 25 SOPs that we wrote. And so that's just everything, and it's all scattered through rule. It's not all in there, like in one specific place. But if you read rule and you reread rule and then you reread the sections that you're going through at a time, like if you're doing security and you're writing your security SOP, like studying, especially the security part, and then you really can't read it like too many times, because at first, this first several times, you'll find something new every time. But I do have some sort of list I can share with David, and it goes over like, it's not comprehensive at all, because I personally haven't seen a comprehensive list from DCR that's like, this is exactly what you need for commencement. But there are like some lists that have like most of the things, and I can send that to David and he can send it out. And some of it lists like different SOPs or different things that you may need. But SOPs is something that they'll ask for commencement.
I'm going to take a break from my questions just because I don't want to hog this. If I do have a couple more questions, but if somebody else wants to jump in, I won't talk over them.
Does anybody else have any questions for Daphne? Feel free to jump in.
If you don't mind elaborating, Daphne, on what security cameras that you did buy and what your like terminal is for those, that would be really
Yeah, so we have, how many cameras we have? We have between 20 and 30 cameras in our facility. Again, it's only like 1,000 square feet. It's not that big. We went with like Ubiquity cameras. It was the person who installed it, they suggested that. We didn't do, you really need to have hardwired cameras, not Wi-Fi cameras. We bought a bunch of Wi-Fi cameras, installed them. DCR said, no, you cannot have those. So you had to hardwire them in. We personally didn't get any fisheye cameras, but that we had our commencement inspection, and then they said, you need 3 more cameras and maybe a fisheye, but that'll depend on how tall the plants grow. So even at commencement, after we got approval to operate, they were like, you might in the future still need more cameras. But 2 on every angle of product, not just 2 angles in every room. So our grow room has 3 or 4 rows, so you need 2 on each row, that kind of stuff. Does that answer your question?
yeah. Yes, those details are super helpful. Thank you.
And not
When
not
I
to
was
chime
with-
in on Daphne's parade, but Ubiquity makes some fantastic gear, and they actually have a design tool on their website where you can set your ceiling heights and you can drop cameras in to see camera coverage or approximate camera coverage. Obviously, you have to be mindful of any obstructions and make sure you have enough hard drive space to have 60 days of footage requirements. The Ubiquity cameras actually do not meet the state's standards currently, but there's going to be a release 5.2 that is coming up that is going to be compliant. It does not meet the current encryption requirements, but most compliance officers aren't even familiar with those, and I've been working with Ubiquity to get that resolved. And Jim, to your point, I would say also be mindful of some of the ancillary services that you might need when you're choosing a specific location in terms of the infrastructure. How much electric is to the property currently? How big do you want to scale there electric wise? Because some of the large switchgear can be pretty long lead time items. But I'll let whoever has a question go next.
Well, Keegan, to that point, so if I'm looking at a building, and I'm looking at a few, what electrical do I need to look for? I mean, does it need to have like a 440 to it or something like that, or?
To what Keegan was kind of saying is, I would really recommend looking at one that's got 480/277 as an option to your building. Most common commercial grow lights are going to run 277. Most of the large HVAC gear, it's technically 460, but it'll run off of 480 voltage. So just to be mindful of that, and also keep in mind, the larger your conductor size, the smaller your breakers, smaller your conduit, everything. So that can result in huge savings
So
Hey,
we need to have just like 220,
Hey, Jim.
10.
Let's keep the questions relevant to Daphne. She's here for about one more minute. She's got
Fair
time for
enough.
one
Fair
more
enough.
question.
Yeah.
We can open
And
this
I
up to
would-
the community later. Does anybody
Thank
else have a
you.
question for Daphne?
I'm going to interject real quickly on things like video encryption and cameras. They did not, like Scott said, they didn't really know what they were talking about. I asked many, many different people in DCR. None of them really knew anything about encryption. So as long as you follow rule and follow what your actual compliance officer says, I think it'll be fine. Like, you don't have to get like the nicest things and like all that kind of stuff, especially because if it's compliant with them, then it should be fine.
And Daphne, what kind of time frame it took a while for you to get approval of your like blueprint? Or did you use the blueprint that you submitted with your application?
Yeah, so we just had to keep resubmitting our blueprints, honestly, because they wanted like updated details or name changes on rooms, or they really wanted all the different camera angles. So every time we added new cameras, we would update the blueprints and send them to them. So we originally got our blueprints drawn up by like a professional. And then later on, as we just kept adding cameras, I'm not gonna lie, I just went in and like edited, and my editing skills are subpar. I went on like Google Slides or something. I don't even know what it was, maybe Canva, and like added in little camera angles, and it was so janky, but they did not mind. It was sufficient. So like, if you get them drawn up and they're good and they just need something small like camera angles like added, that's something you can do yourself. You don't have to pay like an engineer to redraw them up every single time.
So two related questions. One, did
No, sorry, I'm going to cut you off. That's all the time we have for Daphne on this call. We got a lot of other stuff to cover, so we got to move it along. Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
David. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Sure. Thank you so much for being on the call, Daphne. We appreciate
Yes.
you
Thank
always.
Of course. And I'm going to send David that document that I mentioned earlier that has some of the commencement things on it. It's pretty long, but it might be helpful. Anyway, thank you, guys. I'll talk to you all next week.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Daphne. Thanks so much
Thanks.
for joining.
Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, we're doing a new networking format. We're not going to everybody network on the call. Just if you want to share your contact information in the chat, please do that. Also, I have a form that I want everybody to fill out. Please fill out this form. I'm going to put the link. I think that's the right one. This form will help me collect market research data for my micro business. And if you guys find value in this call, I would appreciate you guys taking the time to fill out that form for me and even publish it on social media, send it to your friends. Anybody that smokes, I would appreciate them participating. So thanks in advance for that. And next, I want to do something that I think I don't know, I'm going to try. I'm going to do an elevator pitch for everybody. And I think maybe it'll become a thing, like a part of my calls. Like if people want to do an elevator pitch, we'll have like that for the first 5 or 10 minutes or something. So here goes. My name is David Huckins. I'm the owner of High and Tight. I'll be opening a business in the Missouri's Congressional District 4 that will offer great products and services that can't be found locally. Here's my mission statement: setting the standard for the highest quality product. A lot of people are struggling to find high quality wellness products and personalized guidance that caters to their unique needs. This is especially true for veterans who often require specialized support and discreet consultations. Additionally, the industry often lacks eco-friendly practices, leaving customers concerned about their environmental impact. My business is a specialty retail store offering a wide range of products to meet the diverse needs of our customers. We offer specialized consultations in a comfortable private setting. We can cater to a variety of needs with a special focus on veterans and those seeking high-end product. We're committed to environmental responsibility, offering a recycling program and sustainable packaging. Customers can expect a premium experience with top quality products, expert advice, and convenient services like delivery and online ordering. And whoever thought of having a website for a dispensary that actually works? I'm going to have one. We got a commitment to sustainability and veteran support that sets us apart. Customers will expect a smooth online experience that hopefully will integrate with an app eventually. We have a strong competitive advantage in a growing market with a focus on high quality products, personalized service, and underserviced customer segments, and providing products and service that our competition isn't doing. So please connect with me for more information. We would like to invite you to review our detailed business plan, and I'd love to be able to do a presentation for you and provide you with all the supporting documentation. Yay. So that was my first elevator pitch in front of everybody. I wrote that today and I practiced it a few times. I hope you like it. Okay. Also, I have another form. This second form will make probably more sense. I'm going to paste it in the chat also. That one is more relevant for the conversation that we're going to have coming up as it relates to the article in the Missouri Independent. But it also is asking the community for their opinion about whether I should be on the board or not. So if you have an opinion about whether I should be on the board or not, I'd like to hear it. Okay. Also, again, if you have questions during the call and you don't want to ask them on the call, text me and I'll ask them for you anonymously. If you have ideas for future guests, let me know. Also, I want to tell you about an exciting guest I have for an upcoming call. Leslie Turek, the Chief Equity Microbusiness Outreach Officer for the DCR, has graciously agreed to be a guest on an upcoming call. However, she wants the questions in advance. So if you have any questions that you would like to pose to her, please let me know. You can text me, call me, email me. I will make sure that she is able to answer your questions. Okay, so we already had Daphne. Next, I want to let anybody that's has an interest in announcing their intentions to be a candidate for the next round of board positions on the MMBA to announce their candidacy. Is there anybody on the call that wants to speak up?
Hey, David, I'll go ahead and speak up. How you doing, man?
Good. Hey, how you doing, brother? Welcome.
Oh, pretty good. Guys, everybody, my name is David Tucker. Just to kind of give you a little rundown on me, I definitely plan on putting my cap in the ring for the seat, for the wholesale board seat. I believe I do bring a lot to the table, so to speak. I'm a second generation cultivator and cannabis extractor. Also really have a passion. It's always been a passion of mine, mostly due to my parents and their love of growing, and also my uncle as well. That alone kind of led me down the path towards cannabis cultivation and extraction, and also cannabis genetics. I'm a co-owner of Dungeon of Dank Genetics, DOD Extracts, and Craft Consulting. I'm a designated contact for 3 wholesale licenses in District 1 and 1 dispensary license in District 3. Basically, a little bit about myself. My team and I, we're all Missouri born and raised. We built the brand Dungeon of Dank with the goal of creating new and exciting strains that we would eventually compete with the new emergence of all the cannabis cups in the state of Missouri that kind of popped up over the last 5 to 6 years, ever since we went medical. Over those years, we've won or placed in 12 different cannabis cups so far in the different categories of like flower, concentrates, solventless hash, edibles. I even collaborated with Scott Gherkin, who I think is on this call tonight. We took first place with a topical that we made. What's up, Scott? We took first place with a topical, a lotion that we collaborated on and we made together in 2021. And these are all products that I plan to bring to life through the micro market. Definitely would love to assist anyone on this call with advice on how to grow, how to cultivate, how to grow your brand, any questions related to cultivation or extraction. I personally see our market thriving, just simply off the fact that we are the small grows that started in our basements. My brand started in my basement in O'Fallon in 2018, 2019. And even, well before that, just kind of seeing my parents growing up. And I definitely appreciate any votes that I gather from you on this call for the upcoming seat. I definitely appreciate the time, David.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother. I appreciate you coming on and announcing your candidacy. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, everybody's candidacy is not really official until after the minimum standards review is complete. So anybody that's announcing their candidacy is doing so with the intention. I think you have to be a license holder, and so we're not going to find out until we get the notification, and so that's a big requirement. Let's see. Is there anybody else that wants to announce their candidacy? I thought I saw a couple other people.
Yeah, kind of hard to follow after that, but Craig Flanagan here with Gateway Grown. Also in the wholesale, we have a license from District 2. I'll be honest and transparent. I don't have much experience on the cultivation side itself, just in cannabis and the industry as a whole. One of two people who put together a licensed cannabis transportation facility out here. So as who was on earlier, I'm blanking on her name, but Daphne, how she went through and kind of brought everything to fruition and got all her SOPs done. It was the same thing here. Held a lot of hats, got it all through, argued with DCR and have experience with that and winning. Kind of had the whole issue with this microbusiness thing when this came out. I wanted to get into it. It wasn't open yet, so the only open license was transportation at the time. So that was kind of my foot in the door to kind of get in and get started. Was later told by the previous social equity officer at one of the meetings that was not a possibility, and kind of went through the Constitution and did some back and forth and got them to actually overturn that and allow transporter licensees to also open this. So I have some to offer, and with the SOP side and the facility security training and transportation, pretty familiar with all that. So like I said, not as much as David on the actual grow side, but we have a good team, and I'd like to kind of put my hat in the ring, and I'd be willing to help anybody out here and kind of hope we can all get this up to a success. So that's my little bit. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome, Craig. I really appreciate you stepping up to the ring. I appreciate that. Samantha, are you on the call? Can I talk to you for just a second?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here.
Can you get done what you need to do in the last 10 minutes of the call? Is 10 minutes enough?
Yeah, hopefully it is.
We're running short on time. Okay, all right. Is there anybody else that wants to announce their candidacy briefly?
My big secret was revealed last week.
Would you like to tell people why they should vote for you?
I didn't have anything specifically prepared, but I'll work on it. I'll work on that.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Dispensary,
okay, well,
wholesale, what are you doing?
No, I'm a dispensary. I'm one of two. I think you're the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I've worked in software for 15 years. Big fan of quality and experience. I think that's a part of the experience that could be better. And so, I'm kind of here. One thing I want to do with my dispensary is to make the experience just a little bit better. Make it the one that you want to go to.
Hey, Zach. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No, man, it's fine. Hey, I don't have to talk forever. You're already running late on time.
No, I was going to ask you if you can help me with my application development.
Oh God. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could see, but it's a whole thing.
Sure.
Whenever people say that, it's a big conversation.
Oh yeah,
but
I used to work in
at
software
least
development for Sprint and application development. So, and this is how the conversation gets started. You ask somebody, right?
No, it's true.
If you're not the guy, then usually the guy can put you in touch with the guy. That's, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has been, hey, man, I have an idea for an app for the last 15 years of my life. So.
Right. Sure. Right. Okay. We got another person with a hand up. Scott, would you like to talk? Scott, are you there, brother?
I think I hit something on accident, man. Don't mind me.
Oh, okay. No worries, brother. Is there anybody else that would like to throw their hat in the ring quickly? Anyone, including me, anyone.
I like all the candidates.
Me too. They're awesome. And it's only beneficial to everybody if we have as many candidates as possible so we can choose the best one for sure. I'm not completely sure if I'm gonna announce my candidacy. Well, I'm not going to announce my candidacy. I'm not going to run. If the community wants me to run, I think I will. So if you guys fill out that form, it's anonymous, by the way, that I keep spamming the link for everybody's opinion about the article that we're going to get to in just a minute. And also whether they want me to be on the board and why. And if enough people chime in, I'm going to put the link again. Here it is. I think that's the right one. It's only 2 questions long, 2 mandatory questions long. All right, so let's get into it. We got some stuff to talk about tonight, some interesting topics here. I think we covered everything except the article from the Missouri Independent, which is about alleged predatory contracts continue to surface in Missouri. So that's a concern to the community for a variety of reasons, right? Everybody has thoughts in it and opinions about this, but I want to say before we get started, I hope this isn't going to be an issue, but I know people have strong opinions about this, but I will not tolerate any unruly behavior. Personal attacks will get you kicked out of the meeting. Let's try not to talk over each other. If that happens, I'll just have to mute everybody and we can only talk one at a time. I'm hoping that everybody will behave themselves. Let's talk about this. So hopefully everybody had a chance to review the article. Basically, the gist of it is about out-of-state people gathering numerous licenses and submitting them by sometimes fair and sometimes questionable means, and then using I'm not sure if I want to get into the using predatory contracts as part of it. I'm more concerned about people, coming in and going into a congressional district and putting in 500 applications, and then the people that put in 1 or 2 applications that are just a mom and pop operations, basically they got screwed in that district. And that's one of the things that's happening. I'd like to open this up for conversation now. Does anybody have any thoughts or opinions that they'd like to talk about with the group? All right, I guess Samantha.
I'll go ahead. I'll say something,
All right, I was hoping somebody would. Thank you, David. All right, jump in, brother.
I mean, honestly, I look at it like this. I mean, all I can do is hope that this whole process of the micro licenses going out to individuals, all I can do is hope that it goes a certain way. I don't control the rules. I don't control others' actions or behaviors. Initially, I hoped that, Missouri individuals were going to be the ones that threw their hats, their applications in the ring, so to speak. Did that happen 100%? No. Is the majority of that kind of what we're seeing? Yes. Are there some outliers that tried to come in and, put in a massive amount of applications that probably have never stepped foot in Missouri? Yes. I think DCR is, handling those properly and eliminating those applications or those licenses from ever becoming. That's kind of the gist that I'm getting. But when it comes to predatory action, I just kind of hope that going into this was going to be an opportunity for Missouri craft growers and individuals that suffered through the few years that had hopes of getting into medical, that had hopes of getting those licenses that were $10,000 and $20,000 non-refundable applications, that now had an opportunity. I see that it has been. I think everyone on this call probably would agree because we got licenses, right? But I think that I personally think the DCR is actually doing right by blocking some of these massive out-of-state groups. But I'm curious, what everyone else's thoughts are.
Okay, great input. Thank you for that. I'd like to share my thoughts with the group. I know people are always asking me, and here's my thought. I hope that all the people that participate in this program are participating in the spirit of the social equity in which it was designed to benefit, the participants in which it was designed to benefit. However, the reality is that a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, some people are getting a lot of licenses through means that may not seem fair to everybody, with practices that may not seem fair to everybody, but that's the reality of the environment that we're in. I certainly do not want to offend anyone, because I know that I need to come to the table to do business with everybody here, which is the actual spirit of these calls. Hopefully everybody here feels the same way. We all need to be able to do business. I want to do business with everybody who's legally able to operate, that has quality product at a good price. So we're moving on now to Dennis Scanlon. What's your input, brother?
Yeah. Well, as one who's been in the industry, especially here in Missouri from the beginning, I just want to touch on a couple of these things that you've got here. And this is just my 2 cents from experience.
Sure.
As far as raising awareness, we need to keep this amongst ourselves, publicizing it and announcing cannabis is not the easiest industry to digest across the board. Okay. There's a lot of people that approve of it. There's also a lot of people that don't. So, even when it got down to the voting, it still only passed by a couple of percent. Now, by our comprehensive dispensaries and cultivators out there, it's very well proven that it is here to stay. But, there's a lot of conflict in it still. So publicizing it and giving it a black eye by publicizing some of the issues outside of us, without us dealing with it, I think would be a very poor business tactic that would affect the entire industry, both the macro or comprehensive and the micro. And mind you, again, I've been in this from the beginning. So, I think we need to keep our eyes on that. And as far as dealing with the DHSS, and I've dealt with them from the beginning also, you don't want to bring a whole lot of stuff to their attention. Okay. I also work in another industry, transportation, where I have to deal with the DOT, a lot of compliance issues and a lot of stuff. And the rule that we go into with any of our inspections and stuff like that is you only answer the question with the answer that they're asking. Don't elaborate. Don't go off in circles. Don't start talking about stories, because that'll just get you in a lot more trouble, because then they'll start, and going off and really nitpicking you. And that goes with Daphne and the cameras and the stuff. Yes, I paid $49,000 for my dispensary. Of course, it was a lot bigger than a 1,000-foot. And if you are saving money at $15,000 on 1,000-foot, and you're going to go to 5,000 feet, and you're getting quotes of 34 to 40,000, I think everybody should do the math. You're going to have to multiply those cameras, and that is something that you really don't want to short yourself on. And as far as the quality of cameras you go with, as one from experience, when you have to draw up a very clear, crisp picture, whether it's from a robbery or anything like that, you're going to wish you had them better cameras. Trust me. But that's just my 2 cents in for now. Like I said, I've been around cultivations and stuff, and I've only been growing since myself, indoors and outdoors, since the mid-'70s. So, and having the dispensary already success, I know the industry. So.
Great input. Thanks so much for your input, Dennis. I think everybody's has relevant input. Marley, your question is next. Please chime in.
Thank you. So with only 148 theoretical micro business licenses maximum, it really shouldn't be a maximum. It's really the minimum as mandated by the law. So really, until we reach 148 businesses, the state is not in compliance with its own law. So really, that's the minimum set by this law. And I think another just fact of reality is that businesses do fail. And so statistically, some of these will fail. And so the question is, what happens when they fail? Some of them will, I guess, vanish when they're not in compliance. And then others will be sold, I guess, because these can be transferred. And so, I mean, you'd be a fool to not sell it if you were going out of business. But if you pass away, maybe that just disappears if there's not like a partnership or whatever. And so I think it's important in the long run that we hold the state to that minimum. And so if as businesses disappear, they need to be replenished. And also we need to think about how do we avoid like evil consolidation if we can. I don't know if we have any power over that because we all have the individual freedoms to, sell it to a buying offer. So that's kind of my vision on things.
Hey, Marley, while I'm listening to you, I think a lot of those things you were saying would be great questions for Leslie when she comes on the call, even though we should not provide her any input, but only ask questions, as according to Dennis Scanlon's input. So if you have some stuff like that, like what you were just talking about, make notes of that and send it to me so I can use those for questions for the interview. Anybody, please do that. Okay, so Samantha Tucker, you're up next. Oh, I'm sorry, Samantha. Samantha, you're up next.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Just in my response to the article, I think it's the media. I always take with what you read with, at face value. And then on the other side of it, get to know all these other licenses, the predatory ones, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. But as a majority, the people that I have spoke with, and I've spoken with a lot of you, and hearing your why you're in this industry, I think it's really, really beautiful. And just because some of the people who have multiple licenses, they didn't do predatory things in all cases. So I don't want these articles to create like a blanket feeling about people who potentially have multiple licenses, because we're all really doing this most of us are doing this for the right reasons. Those big companies I can't speak for, but on a personal level, I think that there are a lot of really great individuals in this industry, and I'm really excited to see where we all take it. As far as the replenishment, from speaking with the state, they had said that they're entertaining the idea of tacking it onto round 3. We'll see how it goes. But and also too, I don't know if everybody knows this, but in the rules, when they do open up comprehensive licenses again, 50% of those have to come from the micro industry. So those licenses will be transferred to comprehensive. So I'd be interested to see what they do with the micro licenses that move to comprehensive as well.
Great input. All good stuff. David Tucker, what do you got?
Sorry about that. I must have hit I pulled a Scott Gherkin on you. I think I hit the button on accident. Clearly me and Scott are smoking on the same strains tonight.
It's that modern day zero there, boy.
It's that MDZ, baby.
So everybody, please fill out the 2 surveys that I sent. I really appreciate your input. Be great. Oh, David Brodsky has something he wants to say. Please chime in, David.
Yeah, just want to hop on real quick and kind of echo what Dennis was saying in relation to Leslie being on the call. Is it next week, you said, David? Next week she's going to be on?
On a future call. She would not commit to a date.
Growers
So,
and dispensaries, all the micro licenses.
When she's on the call, this is just my suggestion. This is the 4th state I've operated in. I've been back in Missouri since 2020 as a owner operator on the dispensary side. I would highly suggest that we not give Leslie or DCR suggestions on how they can regulate us more or scrutinize licenses more. they came up with enough ways on their own. So I just want to kind of put that out there as a blanket caution. But that's all I got.
So maybe a way to avoid that is that all questions for her have to be pre-approved by me, so that way we can kind of stay on script without putting ourselves in any danger. Maybe that's a possibility. Dennis, what do you got?
Well, I just want to reemphasize, and that's what I was trying to get through. The more you give them, the more they're going to come after, and you don't want to draw attention to them. They have really scrutinized, and you guys have no idea what you're in for as far as the compliance and following the compliance regulations that the DHSS is going to come down on you for, especially concerning the SOPs and stuff and following them. In our dispensary, I think we had, like Daphne was saying, we had probably close to 20 3-ring binder SOPs. You have to have one for everything you do. And God forbid you don't follow it to the step. So, you know, I know that they're like that on the comprehensive side. David knows it. We've been there. They're not going to let it up on us. And if you draw attention to them, all you're going to do is draw attention to the industry, the micro side, and they're going to scrutinize it even more. Plus, they're going to be changing these rules as they have all along. Packaging was nothing like this in the beginning, okay? We were able to put all kinds of stuff. Then they came up with all kinds of changes. We couldn't have the words cannabis or marijuana or anything in the beginning. Then all of a sudden it had to be put on there, and it had to be the biggest letters on the package. So all of us had to go back and repackage and relabel all of our packaging. I mean, they're forever in your pockets, and the more you bring up to them, the more they're going to scrutinize, and the more rules and regulations they're going to come down with for us. Amy Moore stood in front of us all in the beginning and flat out told us that we're all basically signing a open-ended contract, that they don't know all the rules and regulations, and as they run into issues or things they don't understand, they're going to either make new rules or change those rules. And we all are signing that contract in the beginning when we get our license or accept our license, that we're going to abide by any and all laws and rules they make and or change too. So the more you want to give them, the more they're going to come after us. I'm just telling you.
Okay, well, maybe we don't do questions then. Maybe if that's going to be a problem, maybe we don't do questions. Okay, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to something else, Dennis. We're running out of time, brother. I want to mention that what's something Samantha touched on earlier, which was she was talking about alleged predatory contracts or stuff going on. You know what? It's exactly that. It's all alleged. I haven't seen any contracts. I haven't talked to any lawyers. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I would like to reserve my input on that until the final lawsuit is drawn or the final word is done by the experts, because I can't really chime in.
Okay.
Zach Becker, you're next. Would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it sounds like I don't know who this person is. This person that's gonna be on the call in a bit, but it sounds like maybe she shouldn't. Like, you know, it sounds like maybe keeping them at distance is a good idea. I don't know. I'm just saying, it just sounds like a lot like that.
Okay, that's good input. Here's some input from me. I think I'd like to have her on the call. I'd like to hear what she has to say, even if nobody asks any questions. And I'm probably going to go forward with that. And if that's something that concerns you, then maybe I'll be on the call that week. Monster Farms, you're up next.
Hang on a second. I don't think I was being combative, dude. Sorry.
I don't think I was either. I was just trying to tell you how I felt. Monster Farms, you're up.
So then how about going forward, you list who you want to have on the calls, and if they don't, you know, if they don't get enough votes, they can't. Because I'm in agreement with, you know, the state's going to be difficult, and the more communication and the more that loose lips sink ships, is just how it comes down to. So from now on, you know, I'm not being combative, but I think that, you know, instead of just saying these are the people, maybe ask what the community wants.
that's some great input. Thank you so much for that, and I will definitely consider it. That just sounds like a lot more work for me. Everybody keeps giving me jobs to do on these calls. No, I don't think anybody realizes that every time somebody makes a suggestion, it's a lot more work for me. But I definitely take everybody's ideas into
I
consideration.
understand that part of it. It's more work for you, but it's also something you signed up for.
But he can also delegate it to some other people.
Right. Exactly. That's also exactly
and
correct.
it doesn't have to be a one-man show. You can have an assistant, or you can have somebody help you, through the process, as far as like, pretty much any of this.
And I think I even mentioned at the beginning of this call, if anybody wants to host a call, I'm open to that. So if anybody else wants to run a call, let me know. I'm open to that idea.
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to say something. I think, David, I think a lot of the things that you're doing are awesome. I think that you have a natural skill and ability to bring people together and organize. I would assume that you learned those skills in the military, and you're, I think, successfully implementing them with the what we have here at hand, and that's the micro licenses, right? I think that would probably be a good reason why I think you should run and try to get on the board, because the board has already put together I think a pretty awesome template on how we can communicate and take ideas and collaborate and kind of take them up the ladder and then get those delivered in a nice, tightly wrapped gift box to DCR or the state legislature, if that's something that we have a unified goal on. I think that the board that we have kind of makes that possible. And I think a lot of the efforts that you're doing on this call, very easily could potentially be blended into that, because they've kind of got the outline formed already. But that's just me kind of tipping my hat to you, and everything that you've put together here, I see it as a positive.
Great. Well, fill out my form so I can get your feedback. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I'd really like to talk about this more, and I think we covered the predatory stuff. Great conversation. I'm so glad we covered that. Thank you, everybody, for participating. David Brodsky says he has a question. We'll get to you at the very end of the call. Samantha, I'm just going to turn it over to you with no introduction, because you're running short on time. Please tell us what you have for the community.
Okay, hi everybody. So I shot out an email on Sunday to everybody about the what the association has come up with. So I reached out to excuse me, Unpacked, and just to see what we could do for the micro industry. So, and what I sent out in that email was letting everybody know that, of course, the discount code for 50% off, but also in speaking with George, we have buttoned it up, and now what we are offering is a showroom. It is when you walk into the entrance of the facility, to the right is going to be the initial press room, and next door to that press room, literally divided by a wall, will be our showcase room. So we can put, tables, couches, all kinds of stuff in there. Right now, we are just gauging interest on who wants a table. If we have enough interest, we can rotate days, whatever the situation may be. I know you guys have a couple of surveys to fill out. I'm going to drop a survey in the chat just in case you missed that email. And if you did, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to resend it. And also, if you missed it, I want to get your email so that way I can make sure I'm getting you guys these emails, so that way everybody can stay in contact. In that email also contains a bunch of different links, as well to other things that we had talked about during the board meeting. But this is really exciting. I just want to talk over real quick. The minimum things that would be required is you would need a branded tablecloth, a sign with your business name on it and what you do. So if you're a dispensary, if you're a wholesaler and you're manufacturing and transportation, all of the things that you're going to be doing. And then also 5 to 8 page pitch deck for investors, the sheets of it. You can laminate it, do whatever you want, whatever you feel is necessary. Obviously, business cards, optional things that you can have. Obviously, we are not all commenced. So people like Daphne, she can obviously have her already done commenced packaging, but for everybody else, mock-up packaging that you'll have. And then standing signs, stickers, lighters, pamphlets, candy, any other promotional handouts you like, brochures, whatever you want to hand out to people. One of the things, we're also working with Sarah Setti from M4MM. She's going to be doing a few webinars to help everybody get ready once we know exactly who wants tables. You do not have to be commenced to do this. I want to, make sure everybody understands that you just have to have those things purchased for yourself, which I think is pretty, brand awareness is so important. So I think it's something important for us all to have, is at least a very minimum traveling toolkit. So that way, when other events come up, so that is on that. So please fill out that survey. Let me know if you are interested in doing that. It is at in St. Louis from the 5th to the 7th. The first night is just like a mixer, and then the next 2 days are expos. And then also I wanted to add that I have been speaking with Melissa from MoCan, which is going to open us up another opportunity for more involvement and representation in the community. So for right now, all I'm going to share is they are offering all non-members $25 tickets into their Springfield event. So I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't have the $500 to join. So if you are not a member of MoCan, it is $25 per business person. So if you have 6 people on your team, it's $25 per person to attend the Springfield event. And then more details about what we'll be doing at that event will be coming to y'all very, very soon. But as far as the MJ Unpacked, super, super excited. This is a massive opportunity for us. Just a little bit about MJ Unpacked. They vet everybody who comes into the building. So the only people who can come in, have licenses, or are investors, which is another thing we're going to be doing. The 2 days that the expo is open, we'll be offering pitch deck time, where we will have it on the schedule and on the agenda. So that way investors will come to the showroom and everybody will have an opportunity to pitch to everybody in there. Sarah said that those are huge, like fill the room, shoulder to shoulder events that she's done in the past. So, and then it's also cannabis educators in the industry, and that's essentially it. So it's all of your conversations at MJ Impact will be quality conversations, and you might get your investor you're looking for. It might be the event that changes your life in this situation. So, I'm really excited to be able to get this situated for you guys, and the association wants to help you in any way possible. We aren't gonna just give you a table and leave you high and dry. We'll definitely be prepped and ready to go. And if there's anything you guys need, email me, text us, whatever you need. I'm super, super excited to do this. So yeah, and more to come on the MoCan thing. So look out for that email coming before too much longer as well.
I completed your form. Is your form that is asking questions about tables and so forth, is that relevant to the information you're giving now?
Yes, so that's basically what I'm looking at, is to figure out how many people are actually interested, so we can make sure we have enough tables for all of the people who are interested. And this is for round 2. Everybody across the board is welcome to fill out that form, and then we'll figure out how we divvy it up from there.
We have time for a couple questions. If anybody wants to ask a question of Samantha, I think she has some other exciting stuff coming up in the future. I have something that I just want to announce. I found out today that I got my license. I wasn't officially noticed, but I got the inside track. So I got the notice from somebody today that I got my license. So I can officially throw my hat in the ring if I get enough support from my constituents. Any questions for Samantha?
Real quick, David, not so much a question, but I noticed on the form, Samantha, it had the investor pitch deck stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I did go to 1-year law school. I've been doing business stuff for a long time. I would be very cautious about approaching investors at this stage. If you don't have the necessary legal documents in place, it is incredibly easy to run afoul of federal securities laws. So just want to put that caution out there for everybody.
So yeah, that's something I've heard somebody tell me, which is if you're going to share your business plan with somebody, you might want to have an NDA in place. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not necessarily that. More, there are fairly strict securities laws on how you approach investors. In particular, if you're in like a public setting, like at a trade show, and you're just kind of soliciting, the general public, that's not legally, that's not too far off from a public stock offering. And with that comes a, extremely expensive legal documents to support all that. So,
Oh, well, great. That's a conversation we should have then on the next call is how do we solicit investors properly, if that's possible. Somebody write that down and send it to me because I'm going to forget it as soon as I finish this sentence. Scott, would you like to chime in, brother?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate kind of what David was kind of saying there, that there's a lot of really strict rules when it comes to offering securities or investments. And I think it would be a good idea to maybe have a lawyer on the call to go through some of those things. But, you can't do a public offering. You're supposed to be going after a lot of people that you have pre-existing relationships with prior to you starting that business. And there's a term, accredited investor, which means essentially a wealthy person that has the wherewithal to stomach some of those things. The requirements are like $250,000 net worth, or $250,000 income, single or 350 married, etc. And you are only allowed to solicit investments from certain peoples. There's certain documents, even that type of people, where you're going after friends and family, that you're supposed to have in place a private placement memorandum that an attorney would typically draft. But for a public securities offerings, like at an event, you can get into a real tough situation from a securities law standpoint, as well as investors. You give them a way to get all of their money back. And in the cannabis business, there's no such thing as bankruptcy protection because that's a federal protection. But I'm sure an attorney can, chime in a lot more and give some guide rails as to what to stay between.
Scott, is there an attorney that would be willing to jump on the call to talk about that? I'm not paying anybody and I'm not getting paid by anybody. I'm just saying that up front before I talk to any attorneys.
I'll ask a couple people and see if a couple people have any interest in joining, and then follow back up with you offline.
Great, because that was actually my thoughts for the next guest, was I should probably have an attorney. Also, that brings up a good point. I am trying to draw from talent from within the micro business community for guests. So like I had Daphne on today, and I want to have Jimmy Poe on that does door locks and security cameras. So if anybody in the community is a subject matter expert on anything related to vendors that we might need to work with, please let me know. I'd love to have you on as a guest. And you can highlight your business. Samantha has a, oh wait, there was someone else before you, Samantha. I think, was it? Oh, that person is not on the call anymore, I think. Samantha, what'd you have?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to mention that as far as the pitch deck, you leave it on the table and the investors approach you. If we have on the agenda that it is a pitch time, those investors will walk around the room and initiate those conversations with you, as well as, whatever else MJ Unpacked has, for everybody to present. I know they were talking about doing a Shark Tank. I'm not sure if they are still doing that or not. But yeah, and like I said, Sarah will also help guide us in all of the things she has worked with MJ Unpacked over the last 3 years in getting people ready for these events. So, but I think having a lawyer would be fantastic, because a lot of, on point with what you were saying with the article, there are a lot of predatory contracts out there, regardless of whether it's getting a license or getting an investment. So, we definitely need to be prepared on all fronts before going into something like.
Okay. Does anybody have any last minute business? We have executed 1 hour of time today, and we can run long. It's no problem. Does anybody have any business they want to talk about? I'll open it up to anybody.
Well, given that we all have to write 23-ring binders of SOPs, is anyone interested in it's kind of like they're regulating us. So should we kind of maybe come up with some standards that we think are universally applicable? Or we could all save each other a lot of time by being by helping each other on this SOP thing.
I'm a little confused because they're not even going to look at our SOPs. We have to have them, but they don't read them.
Ah,
I wish Daphne Cook was here to chime in on that.
You do
Because
actually-
didn't she say that she had to do some revisions?
I
don't
think
know.
they do look at SOPs now. I know on another commencement, they had like a day or two of going over every SOP and back and forth with the state. This was all done like online. So I do think now, I know prior with the comprehensive markets that they did not, but now that they're staffed, they are going through the SOPs now, from what I understand.
Monster Farms, what do you got?
Yeah, I wanted to pitch the idea that if anybody would like to work with us on writing SOPs, we can divide and conquer them. Don't have to go into specifics of actual individual grow processes, but some of those generic SOPs that cover every grow facility. I would love to have somebody, team up with me, or a few people team up with me, and we all just, knock out a certain amount of them each and then throw them into a pool. And then we take those and modify them to fit our business. If anybody's interested in that, hit me up, because I would love to work with you.
I see Samantha here is chomping at the bit with a raised hand. I think Samantha has some relevant input. Would you like to speak on this topic, Samantha?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The association is actually in the process of working on this. So if anybody wants to reach out, I will drop my email on this. Message me. I would be more than happy to work with you. I'm in contact with a few different agencies who are going to make editable blanket SOPs for everybody: transportation, cultivation, manufacturing, dispensary, across the board within the Missouri state rules. So I would absolutely love anybody's input, anybody they would recommend. Drop my email, message me. Anybody, if you have recommendations or what you want to use or anything like that, I am collecting all of the information I can, so that way we can all make the smartest decision. I think this is part of pooling resources. This is something I've been working really, really hard on. So I think that that is a perfect time to have the conversation, because it's something that is already going on in the background. So yeah, absolutely hit me up, and we will make that happen for everybody.
Okay, that's great. And people have been
I can
asking
hand
me,
you all your SOPs.
people have been asking me straight up, what is the value that the Micro Business Association can provide? There's a great example right there. Not only that, but what she was talking about earlier, getting us a spot at the table for the upcoming convention. So there you go. There's some value demonstrated by the Micro Business Association. Luis Gonzales, you had a question or some input?
I actually got some input. So I actually talked to my compliance officer about 2 days ago. I shared with you guys a checklist of what actually they gave me, and they said you do have to submit some SOPs. There's a file which shows their file name and page number that you're supposed to submit them according to my compliance officer with that checklist. So before they were talking about they were not going to be looking at SOPs. Now they're asking for specific items that SOP has to have in that content, and they are asking to submit it to them. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
Great. I don't know. Do you think it's okay if I share those spreadsheets with the community? I mean, they came from the DHSS, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, you should definitely share it with everybody, because I talked to a lot of people that didn't seem to know that this document is out there. So yeah, I don't think there should be a problem. We're not hiding anything. If anything, everybody out to kind of be more prepared of what he actually has to do. And
it was a document prepared by the state, so technically it belongs to all the voters. So I don't really have a problem sharing it with. I'll send it out on the in the newsletter. There's 3 documents, and they're all pretty comprehensive, and they will help you get started with your stuff. Okay, so Dennis Scanlon has something. What's up, brother?
Real quick, because this is running on. Keegan, I'm not sure who you had for a compliance officer, but if they didn't ask for anything on your SOPs, you were very lucky. And I don't know who gave the information that they didn't check SOPs on the comprehensive side, because I can tell you for a fact that we had to email in all of ours to our compliance officer in the very beginning, all of them. And then they had specific ones that they wanted to come back to check on. So only thing I could say is on the SOPs is be prepared. Be a Boy Scout. If you're not, that's when you're going to be the one that they will check, and you'll be the one they'll be sorry. But other than that, I mean, if you're prepared for them, you may never have to use them. I never really had to open mine again after that unless they asked a question on something. But but in the beginning, we did have to come up with them.
Samantha, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that. I'm not even anywhere remotely close to commencing. And my compliance officer has already asked me to get that file ready to send them because he wants to go over them before I even request commencement. So I guess everybody's commencement officer is different, but so they do absolutely read them and they are absolutely going to request them.
Well, yeah, Samantha, I'm very interested in having somebody professionally prepare my documents that would save me a lot of work that will cost me next to nothing. So thank you.
Absolutely. That's the whole point. We want to make sure that everybody gets access to what they need. We're already in a struggling situation. We don't need to make it any harder. Let's work together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the spirit of these calls. So thank you for that. David Brodsky, jumping in. What you got, brother?
This was the kind of final thing I wanted to say about Leslie, and I apologize if I did not communicate very clearly. I think it's totally fine to have her on the call. I would just be conscientious of what we're asking her about, and I'll give a perfect example. I sought her out at the non-mandatory meetings that we had, whenever that was, 3 months ago, and brought up an issue that Scott Wooten had actually identified. And that's that we don't have access to get our packaging approved right now. So, and I know Daphne, if she was still on, she might talk about this, but as soon as they got commenced and had access to Metric to submit their packaging submissions, they got those in immediately because as a wholesaler in particular, you very much so run the risk of having product in hand that you've grown that's ready to sell, and you might not have approved packaging to sell it in. So those are the kind of things that, we can definitely ask her about, hey, we see this as a roadblock for the micro businesses coming forward. How can the department help us with that? Those kind of things are perfect, but I would just maybe not try to suggest more scrutiny or more regulations, or that's all.
That's great advice. Yeah. And when I have her on, maybe I'll just mute everybody's microphone and not let anybody chime in. And we'll talk about any questions we ask her beforehand so that, we're asking safe stuff that's not going to get us in any more trouble if we even do that. I'm really just interested in having her on the call just to see what she has to say. I'm interested to hear what comes out of her mouth. Anybody else have anything interesting? Anybody have anything they want to say at the end here? Going once, going twice. Thanks everybody for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
David.
everyone.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, David.
Thanks for doing this,
Great
David.
call.
Appreciate it. Very helpful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.